Just a few weeks ago, a brand new season of Legacy kicked off on the CW. The spin-off series quickly became a hit after being released following its predecessors, The Vampire Diaries and the originals. But since its start, a lot has happened leading up to now. So, with the release of its 4th season, what's going to happen? Is Landon still alive? Who will Lizzie choose? In today's video, we're going to discuss all of the juicy questions fans are wanting answered in Season 4. You'll want to keep watching. Initially starting in 2018, Legacies is a spin-off to the ever-so-popular show The Vampire Diaries and the originals. Making up the talented cast include Danielle Rose Russell as Hope Mikaelson, Arya Chagasemi as Landon, Kaylee Bryan as Josie, Jenny Boyd as Lizzie, and Matthew Davis as the one and only Alaric Saltzman. These characters and more returned to the CW on the 14th after Season 3 was delayed in January due to filming delays. It's expected to air in its regular slot on the streaming service and, similar to its previous seasons, will likely run for 16 episodes. But before we get into Season 4, what exactly happened in Season 3? Here's a little recap of the final moments. In the Season 3 finale, we see Cleo and Landon hit the road. More specifically, a trip for Cleo to go steal something from her ex-boyfriend. However, she wasn't just going over to create some small talk. She needed to melt one of his artworks down so that she could combine it with a stolen vial of Hope's blood to trap Malivore. But of course, they run into a problem. That problem being that Malivore was in fact standing right next to her. However, she wouldn't find that out until Hope and Landon's now human half-brother Clarke burst into their hotel room searching for Malivore's portal. This is then when we find out that Landon was really just Malivore in disguise, as he took down Clarke and absorbed Cleo. In the final moments, we see Hope confront Malivore with her friends and family behind her. But before we got to see what happened next, the episode came to a close. So with such a cliffhanger of an end, it left fans with tons of questions. One being the obvious, what happened with Hope and Malivore? Well, according to Danielle Rose Russell, it could be a bit of a frustrating time ahead. According to the Season 4 trailer, Hope must die, or at least that's what seems to be the case. It appears that the angsty teen is in for a major life change as she activates the last part of her supernatural superhero self to become the Tribrid, part witch, part werewolf, and part vampire. Currently, Hope is only a witch and a werewolf, and she must die and give up any hope of growing up in order to become a vampire, making her a complete Tribrid. And with her unusual lineage being the inspiration for the originals and being it a part of her journey since the beginning of Legacies, it seems unlikely that we will go through the whole show without her going full Tribrid. The big question is though, when? Well, it looks like the answer to that question is soon to be answered, as Russell, who plays Hope, made the statement, "I feel like we never could have done Legacies without this story arc. Coming eventually, I think it's really a good time for how it plays out." As of right now, Hope is focused on saving her on-again, off-again boyfriend Landon, who she found out had actually just been Malivore in disguise at the end of Season 3. She knows that the best way to ensure defeat against the ancient goo monster is by becoming a Tribrid. In fact, Russell even said that Hope having to die is a great tease for what's soon to come in the coming episodes. In addition to this, the actress also explained that we would expect to see Hope face some very serious decisions about herself as well as the people around her, especially those who are closest to her, making the statement she has some really hard things that she knows she has to do. And that sort of shifts her dynamic with herself and everyone around her at school. Which, speaking of, it seems that Malivore won't be leaving Hope's friends alone anytime soon. According to the Season 4 trailer, in a way, everyone is in for some sort of danger, and it appears that Malivore will be the biggest threat anyone has faced so far. With that said, another big question fans are asking is whether or not Clarke is really good now or not. In the Season 3 finale, Landon's half-brother, or Malivore's other son, Clarke, certainly seemed more human than a monster, as him rejecting Hope's blood made it clear that he is still genetically attached to his villainous parent. However, the question of whether Clarke is truly reformed or just putting on an affable face to gain the trust of the show's heroes is less easy to answer. The fact that Malivore got hospitalized, it implies Clarke really was trying to stop his murderous Gollum father. This could be a long con pulled off by the the father-son team. Malivore, Landon managed to gain the trust of Hope, Cleo, and Finch, meaning it's not completely impossible to imagine Clarke pulling off the same feat. Another question Season 3 left for fans to be answered is how Cleo inspired Malivore Landon. In the show, Cleo gives Malivore Landon a vision of himself and Hope, as well as a few stray flashes of Malivore, before he proclaims that she has, quote, inspired him. However, just moments later, the Malivore Landon imposter demands that Cleo join him on a mission before eating her, and she fails to comply. Now that viewers know that it was Malivore she inspired and not Landon, questions remain over what the villain meant when he said this, and what this means for the vision Cleo gave him. Question of what exactly Cleo inspired in Malivore will need to be addressed in Legacies Season 4. Whether the character was lying to gain her trust or was genuinely inspired to some evil deed by her vision. Yet another question many fans are hoping will get answered in Season 4 is, will Cleo and the real Landon meet and escape Malivore? After having been consumed by Malivore back in Season 3, Cleo is now theoretically in the same position Landon found himself midway through the season. Malivore's prison world is where Landon found his independence and agency, seemingly saving himself. However, now that viewers know he never truly escaped, will he and Cleo find each other and break out together? It is unclear whether every being consumed by Malivore ends up in the prison world, but the fact that both Landon and Cleo's actors returned for Legacies Season 4 seems to imply that the duo is still alive somewhere and thus may well team up to take down the show's strongest villain. Following that, there's a question of, will Lizzie get together with MG or Ethan? Well, compared to the fate of Landon, the love life of fellow character Lizzie may seem relatively unrelated to some viewers. However, like the Vampire Diaries, Legacies relies on its supporting cast for compelling side stories. And the question of whether Lizzie and MG will finally get together in Season 4 is an extremely compelling subplot. Everything seemed to be aligned for the couple to finally reconnect by the end of Season 3 finale. That was, until Lizzie's attempts to set Hope up with Ethan resulted in the unlikely hero asking her out instead. A stunned Lizzie accepted, meaning the question of whether she'll end up with the guiltless human or MG is still very much open to debate. On the topic of Ethan, another question the show leaves us with is if Ethan will remember the supernatural world. After MG decided to wipe Ethan's memory of the supernatural world to give the human a chance at a normal life, questions remain over whether this state of blissful ignorance will last. The fact that Ethan is seen talking to Josie and Lizzie in the Season 3 finale proves he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it would seem to be merely a matter of time before the character remembers his existing connection to these paranormal students one way or another. Only time will tell, but whether Ethan will recall the Salvatore School for the Young and Gifted true purpose, and how he'll react if he does, is another one of the many major questions Legacies Season 4 must address. Last but not least, the biggest question fans are wanting answered is if Landon is still alive. Throughout Season 3, Legacies left Landon stranded in the prison world as a duplicated doppelganger impersonated him in the real world of the series. This plot had seemingly been wrapped up, the real Landon was thought to be reinstated, and Legacies was on its way back to normality by the Season 3 finale. However, we were then hit by the Season 3 finale, which revealed the twist of Landon really being Malivore in disguise. And with Cleo now consumed, it's up to Hope to unleash her tribid powers in her attempts to stop Malivore. This still leaves some unanswered questions about the real Landon. For instance, is he still stuck in the Purgatorian prison world, or is he dead for good this time? It seems unlikely that Legacies will kill off Landon permanently, given the fact that the character's already been revived by supernatural means 4 times in the show's 3 seasons. However, his fate is still unclear as of the Season 4 premiere, and anything is possible in the world of Legacies. With that said, that's going to wrap up this video. What questions from Season 4 are you most looking forward to being answered? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching.